Warning: the Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of borders, language, culture. And here he is, winner of the National Radio Hall of Fame Award, Michael Savage.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the Savage States of America.
Yes, indeedy. We certainly live in our own world, don't we? Welcome to the program. There's a lot of news that I will discuss, and I'll give you the topics right off the bat. Should the burqa be banned, as it is banned in many nations? Switzerland is considering banning this throwback 10th century costume that has no business in a modern nation. It is an affront to civilization itself. It is not in the Quran. It is a disgrace. That is why so many nations, including African nations, have banned this absurd costume. We will talk about that. We will talk about the big, big deal. Well, you know what the real big deal is, not Trump's statement about the Second Amendment. That's been talked about over and over again. They're going crazy over it. The really big deal are the 3 interns who have been found dead. Yeah, that's the big story. You know about that one? You don't know about that one? What Julian Assange, WikiLeaks guy, said? That the people who leak him stuff risk their lives, and one of them was just found dead? That's as close as he could come to saying what, well, let's put it to you this way. There's nothing new under the sun. We had 8 years of this, didn't we? Remember Vince Foster and all of that? That's topic number 53,000. But what I really want to talk about is the renewal of my contract for a moment and my career in radio, where I've been, where I am, and where I intend to go, with your indulgence. And so what I have for you today is some special things. I do. I have things for you that you may not have heard. Some of you may have heard some of them, including the original Virgin demo that I did back in 1993 before I was in radio, because many young people want to know how to get into radio. The answer is, what, are you crazy? Number one. But number two, when I put this demo together, I didn't know I could get into radio, and I want to play it for you. And then we have the Savage Nation trailer. We have Michael Savage battling liberal callers back in the 1990s. We have Michael Savage on KSFO radio when I was a local host circa 2000. We have a montage of the best moments of the show going back all these years. And I want to ask you something. How long have you been listening to the Savage Nation? Why do you keep listening? What is your first memory of this program? What is your favorite memory of this program? When did you first become a fan of the show? If you hate me, why do you listen? I mean, this is the part I don't understand. All of the progs, the jealous progs, the losers of society, listen to the show intently to hate me. I don't understand that part of it. If I don't like somebody, I don't watch them on television. I'll give you a list of people. When I see them, I click the channel because they're everywhere. I can't stand them. I can't remember their names. I just obliterated them from my mind. Oh, what's her name? Wolfie Goldberg? Wolfie Goldberg? Woody Goldberg? I don't know her name. I hate her. I think she's the most talentless hack in the history of the world. If I see her face, I click right through it as fast as I can. Larry David, if I see him, I reach for I can't say it, it's a family show. I think the man should be banished to Iceland to open a pizza stand without any electricity for the rest of his life, maybe through eternity. That's what I'd like to do with a guy like that. But never, why listen to me if you don't like me? I don't get that. As a fan of the show, what do you want to hear more of? Do you want to hear more news, more views, or more reviews? Because let me tell you something. We're in an election cycle. I don't have to tell you that. With less than, 90 days to go until one of the two will be president. Whether we'll ever hear from Trump again is a question mark, because although we put him where he is, his advisors currently are putting him where he is, which is not where he was, nor where he should be. And if, God forbid, he should lose, it would not be because I didn't try and because you didn't vote for him. It will be because of the cruise bots who stabbed him in the back. It will be because of the Weekly Standard rat, who was never, ever, ever a reliable source. That kid from New York whose father bought him the magazine. This guy, you know, the Never Trumpers. The Cruz people who stabbed him in the back over and over again, watching their ratings plummet until finally they said, oh, yeah, I'm for him. Yeah, right. People are not that stupid. And so, yeah, I don't know what he's doing right now. I know that his managers are not trustworthy. I don't trust his campaign managers at all. I've told you that. I haven't minced words, and I suspect they heard that I have contempt for them because I think they're undermining him, frankly. And, you know, there's an old Jimmy Durante statement that I'll never forget. He was an old comedian when I was a kid. He was still around. And I liked him as a kid. I didn't know why. He was a funny guy, and he had a certain persona of friendliness about him, so I gravitated to him. I always liked freakishly weird people, and he was freakishly weird. He was not a handsome man. He was a weird-looking guy. And I like weird-looking people because I think that they have to struggle harder than the good-looking people. So he had a statement. I think it's from him. He could have borrowed it from someone else. I think he did. Be awfully nice to everyone you meet on the way up because you're going to meet them all on the way down. That's what I'd like to say to Paul Manafort, because the people who put Trump where he is, who gave him the victories when he needed every ounce of help he could get, are the people who are going to put him over the finish line. And they have to remember that you are not the unwashed masses of to be taken for granted conservatives, okay? That's what I would like to say, and I just did. So, okay, we did that. Now I want to go back to the story of the day, which is on the Drudge Report. It's very important that you see it because the headline is very simple. Westwood One, that's my syndicator, has inked a multi-year renewal with myself, Michael Savage. It's an important story to me, because I don't have to read you the thing. You can read it on your own your device off the Drudge Report. It was all over the media. It's a big deal. It's a big deal for me, and many of you said, well, I didn't know if you were going to stay in radio. Can I tell you the truth? Neither did I. This is not, people think, oh, yeah, it was a slam dunk. It wasn't a slam dunk. I got to tell you something. If you're young and struggling, nothing comes easy. Ask anybody in business, no matter how wealthy they are, if anything they've ever done comes easy. It doesn't. It is a lengthy, difficult series of discussions and negotiations that yield the fruits of your labor. And many people who are resentful of success do not know this. They assume that successful people have everything handed to them, that everything just comes to them, and they wonder why they don't have these things happen for them. I can't answer for the next man. I had 30 years of wandering in the desert. I tried to pump wells, and I came up dry. When I had young children, I was pumping wells, and they were coming up dry. And I never, ever gave up. I never quit. I just went and got new drilling equipment and pumped a new well. And then it became such a joke within my own mind that I said I'm like a wildcatter who hasn't hit a gusher in 20 years. That's exactly what it was like. And there's the old Jackie Mason joke. I love that joke in the beginning when he came back from obscurity. And he said, yeah, I'm an overnight success. It only took me 50 years to get where I am. That's a great line. The point is that everybody who succeeds in anything has to struggle for it. Goes back to a famous statement, which I'll never forget when I was 18 years old, by the sports star Joe Namath. I'll never forget that statement. Joe Namath was handsome, successful, the greatest athlete of his time. He said something that struck me as a young man. I'll have to put it in the right vernacular for a family show. He said, I don't know how to translate what he said. I should be good at this. I should have rehearsed this, but I don't rehearse any of my show. He said, I've never had sex with a woman that I didn't work for. That's what he said. Now, when you're 18 years old and you think you're the only one who has to talk his way across the gates of paradise, you understand what that means. Joe Namath gave a lot of encouragement to a lot of guys when he said a thing like that, So that's the opening to the show. I'm going to have a lot of news. I'm going to have a little self-indulgence today. We're going to touch on the big issues of the day, like the deaths of the interns who were about to rat out somebody in the DNC. We're going to talk about the Clinton Foundation probe being blocked by the Department of Justice, which just came out again. You can see the headline on Drudge. And, of course, to me, the biggest story is my story because it's my life. Radio host Michael Savage extends run with host new contract, and it's a fabulous story. It's the latest feather in my cap. Who first hosted the Savage Nation in San Francisco in 1993, by the way. I think it was, I don't know when it was. It was 94, 93, I think. I now air on 235 stations, according to Westwood One. And as you well know, on the East Coast, my show is heard from 3 o'clock until about 6 o'clock. On the West Coast, it's heard during lunchtime for me, 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock, which is why I sometimes am heard eating on the air, which I promise to do less of, especially since come January, this show will be streamed live. Now, that's a big deal for me because I'm kind of an anonymous guy. I never give interviews, or rarely do I give them. Okay, I give a few this year on Skype. I don't do public events. I try to stay out of the public's eye. My dog is better known than I am, as you know from the book Teddy and Me. So I am going to have cameras put in all of my home studios for a couple of reasons. And one of the reasons is because, as I said to my family, who said, "Are you crazy? Why are you doing this? You're a private personality. You're loved for your mind and your voice. Why do you want to have a camera on you?" And what I answered straight up is I said to my family after they didn't know I was signing that in the deal. They only saw it last night, and one of them was very incensed over it that I'm going to do the camera thing. He says, "What?" So I said, "Well, there's a lot of ham in me, and all I've been serving for 22 years are the eggs." He laughed. He got the whole story. In other words, I do like to perform on my own terms, and every radio show is a performance. You ask the 3 or 4 people in my life who I have led in a radio studio, including some pretty famous people, they can't believe what I do physically during a show. I'll tell the story another way. Back in 94, when I was a local host, I had my young, handsome, successful son fill in for me one day on KSFO. People don't know this. So he did the show, I think, for 3 hours. He got off the air and he said to me, "How the heck do you do this, Dad?" He said, I didn't realize how exhausting this was. I didn't answer him because there's no answer for it. If the wellspring is there, it keeps producing the fresh water. If it's not there and it runs dry, you're just out of luck. But my arms move, my head moves, my body moves. And when I do the streaming come January with video, you will see some of the great things I have in my studios. Odd things, interesting things, beautiful things, antiques, non-antiques, dogs. You'll see Teddy. And then I'm going to do 2 20-minute segments that will not be aired on radio as well for subscribers only. And that would be whatever I want to do. Maybe you'll go to a restaurant with me for a 20-minute segment. Maybe you'll come for a ride with me in one of my cars. I don't know. We'll have to see what's going on. But I am going to take this syndicated show to new levels in January 17. I am going to create a 3-dimensional show. Number 1 on the station that you are listening to the show on right now, that is terrestrial broadcast stations, as a live stream and with special segments created only for subscribers. My friends, I want to thank you for making it happen. That's the reality. Without an audience, you know what? You got 2 Dixie cups and a string. And I really bless God, or thank God for the blessings of my audience every day. And if you think this is hyperbole, I can't help you. You're more cynical than I am. But the fact of the matter is, you ask the guys who are on the opposite side of my Skype screen, Robert Borowski on the board and Jim Verde on the phones. You got to go through Jim to get on the show. If I remember, I do make a little prayer before the show. Today I put my hand on a Bible as I'm in court, and I said, here's the Bible right here. You'll see it when the Bible with the 500 Post-its in it. I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. Like swearing myself into a court of law. It's the best I can do. And that's it. This is the Savage Nation. I'll be right back to take your calls right here on the Savage Nation.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
Savage, 77 WABC.
It is the Savage Nation. I have so much that I would like to cram in to these 3 hours. I may need tomorrow to do it as well. I got to jump right to a caller, though, because they're as good as the things I'm going to play. And here we go. Wendy on WABC, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yeah. You asked, why do we listen to your show? So I'm going to tell you why I listen to your show. You're one of the very few talk show hosts that can synthesize a new idea. You don't constantly regurgitate talking points.
Thank you. There's nothing more I can say because I 100% try to do so. I'm not going to knock anyone else. I think that Mozart speaks for Mozart, Salieri speaks for Salieri, and your piano teacher speaks for your piano teacher. Thank you for the call. And, you know, the issue that I want to bring up is this. Every show has its organic flow. I was telling it to the guys during the break. For example, the first segment of a 3-hour show, just a little inside thing, is the launch off the pad. Now, you watch rockets being launched. Do you know how much kinetic energy is necessary to launch that rocket? Most of it is in the takeoff. Am I right? You see all the power. You see the flame coming out. You see the rocket is hardly moving, right? And then slowly it goes up. Segment 1 of a radio show, remember, there's 3 hours, so it's 4, 8, 12 segments. The first segment is the launch. The second segment is almost a booster rocket where you want to get out of the atmosphere. The third segment, which we will go to after the next break, puts us into the stratosphere and so on. And, of course, the game is to not fall to Earth. That's the problem for most of us. I can speak for myself as well as anybody else. Most people who are good in talk radio and have succeeded can certainly get themselves into the stratosphere. But for how long they can stay there is another story. So I have wonderful things for you today to keep us in the stratosphere, including segments of childhood stories, the Virgin Demo, Love by the Sewer Plant, the Leatherman ends up with cancer, Louis the alcoholic who taught Savage how to bend nails with his bare hands, half man and half woman in Long Beach, the cultural phenomenon of crack pants, the nutty friend with a wacko mother who was on speed, the chestnut man outside the Museum of Natural History, right here.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE. Savage.
In the radio industry, you have to fight to survive. One man, one way. Michael Savage. Against all odds, Michael Savage survives. Attacked from the left, attacked from the right. An independent conservative. Borders, language, culture. Michael Savage. The Savage Nation. Michael Savage. He did it his way. Undaunted and fearless. Representing the heart of America. Fighting for America's soldiers. Fighting for America's policemen. Exposing the Islamo-fascists. Fighting the liberal wackos. Speaking out against the excesses of the Republicans. Michael Savage, author of the New York Times best-selling books, The Savage Nation, The Enemy Within, Liberalism is a Mental Disorder, and The Political Zoo. No man can stop him. Michael Savage, going strong.
That's very good. That was done a long time ago. That was done way back when, because all these new books have come out. And, look, I would be remiss not to tell you I'm so proud to I'm announcing again my last nonfiction book. Many of you say, it's hype, you're going to do another one. I don't think so. I spoke to my agent this morning. I told him I only want to do my previously unpublished novels and fantasies. And he's got somebody very interested in that. But Scorched Earth will be out after Labor Day. It's our last chance to turn America around. Let me read you two paragraphs from it. My intro is from a French scholar who you never heard of, who wrote this. Roman civilization did not pass peacefully away. It was assassinated. That says it all as far as I am concerned. Because if Hillary is not stopped, she will be the final assassin of this great nation of ours. Now, the last 8 years of progressive policies and open borders have poisoned America. Our Constitution has been trampled by a divisive president, and sadly, America is rapidly becoming a second world nation of terror, riots, mobs, and chaos. Worse yet, Obama is leaving Hillary a legacy and a playbook. It's no secret that she plans to continue the Obama doctrine, which has determined that America will no longer exist as a sovereign nation. My new book, Scorched Earth, exposes Hillary Clinton as a fear-mongering opportunist, even as it shows that there is a way to save our cherished freedoms. Read the details in Scorched Earth and join me as we the people mobilize. As always, thanks for your support. You can pre-order now by going to Amazon.com, in bookstores a week after Labor Day. That's it. I think it's a very good summary. I couldn't say it better myself. Now let's go to some callers. Kenny on KSFO, line 6. Go ahead, please. What's on your mind?
Dr. Savage, I'm a young gay liberal in San Francisco. I listen to you every day. I can't tell you how grateful I am to hear your version and your take on everything conservative. While I'm liberal, I try to understand the other side and where they're coming from, and I have to tell you, you're the only conservative voice that I trust. I can't hear anyone else, but I trust you.
Look, I want to say thank you. We all want to hear that. I think why you listen to me, given your social, let us say, selection, or how you choose to see the world, is through a certain lens. I see the world through a certain lens that's different, and it's because I'm a lot older than you, right? I mean, you're a young guy. What are you, in your 30s?
35.
Hello, Kenny, how old are you?
Yeah, I'm 35.
35, did he say? I couldn't hear him very well. All right, so you're a lot younger than I am. But, Kenny, you understand that there are many worldviews in a multifaceted nation. I think the reason that you resonate with my show, whether you agree with me or not, is irrelevant. The reason you enjoy listening or want to listen at all is because what you hear in me is not so much the conservative viewpoint. What you hear is a reasoned viewpoint, number one. And number two, I would have to say an artistic viewpoint. I try to bring some of that to it, as well as just straight out diatribes. You know what I'm saying? If I just hit over and over again the same thing, I wouldn't listen to it.
Well, you're very artistic, especially when you play the harmonica, but you absolutely...
Oh, God, don't remind me. I think my family made me throw it in the bay, but I have it somewhere in the kitchen.
But really forced me out of my comfort zone, and I really appreciate that. You're the only person who can do that for me. But
okay, do you want a copy of Teddy and Me, or you want to wait for Scorched Earth, a free copy today?
Oh, I'd love Scorched Earth.
I'm sorry, which one? Scorched? Okay, stay on the line. You get Scorched. You'll get Scorched a week after Labor Day. I hope it's not as hot as... Okay, my friends, we're going to talk about other stuff, and it's a time to look back and a time to look forward for me in radio. And again, I want to say this. Look, come December, the election will be over. Either Hillary Clinton will be president or Donald Trump will be president. Nothing else is going to happen, no matter what you may think. No one else is going to be president. You hear me? It doesn't matter what you may think. That's it. One of them will be president. Most of us don't accept that. We don't even recognize the reality of that statement. Come the day after the election, that's going to be the reality. One of them will be president. And we're all going to have to learn to live with that fact and live with each other. So, given that I just signed an extension of my radio deal for quite a while, and that I hope I have many years left, that's, of course, not up to me, it's up to God, you have to ask yourself, do you think I'm going to get up every day? Let's say Trump wins, for example. Do you think I'm going to get up every day and sit here and be Trump's PR man? I'm not going to do that. That's not going to be what I'm doing. I don't do it now. Why would I do it then? I don't find politicians the be-all and end-all of my existence. They're not the stars, the moon, and the sun. There's an entire constellation outside the world of politics, and I've lived in those other worlds for so many years, whether they be the worlds of herbal medicine or the worlds of nutritional medicine or the worlds of searching for plant cures in very distant islands, whether it be ethnobotany I've been fascinated by many things in my life, and I've written many books, going back to 1972, Earth Medicine, Earth Foods. I was as much in love with that subject as I am with politics today. In 1975, I thought I was going to save America from the loss of trees in cities. Would you believe it? I did a whole book. It took me years to write Plant a Tree, a working guide to regreening America. I was like Johnny Appleseed. It didn't make me a lot of money, but I loved the book. I loved writing it. You know, ask any artist. The process is the whole thing. If you don't enjoy what you're doing, don't do it. So you do the best you can. If it sells, it sells. What are you going to do about it? Kill yourself. And then in 1976, if you can believe this, I won an award. Many of you don't know this, for a book I wrote for children. It was called the Outstanding Science Book of the Year, I think. Bugs in the Peanut Butter, Dangers in Everyday Food. Wow, was that ahead of its time. Man's Use for Plants. Then I got into home brewing in 1977. I wrote a book, The Taster's Guide to Beer, Brews and Breweries of the World. I ate and I drank that topic. In fact, I remember going with friends here in San Francisco to Tommy's Joint. I don't go there much anymore. And tasting beers of the world for the book. I took some pictures in there. 81, I wrote The Way of the Skeptical Nutritionist. 82, The Art of Feeding Children Well. 83, Nutrition Against Aging. 83, Secrets of Fijian Medicine. 83, A Novel, Vital Signs. 84, Getting Off Cocaine. That's a very interesting story. Yeah, I don't want to get into it and get distracted, but it was a book so ahead of its time. I'll never forget getting a letter. There were no emails then. A letter from a doctor who ran a treatment center for coke addicts in the Bronx, New York. Actually, it's the Bronx. I came from, I don't even know if it's the Bronx or Bronx, New York. I think it's Bronx, New York. It's like the Brooklyn. Anyway, he was a doctor from the Bronx, New York, and he said, I used the program you described, and it actually works. Because, of course it works. Then in 84, The People's Herbal. 86, Maximum Immunity. Houghton Mifflin published it. Went into 16 languages. How to Fortify Your Natural Defenses Against Cancer, AIDS, Arthritis, Allergies, even the common cold. 87 was one of the greatest passions of my life at that time, reducing the risk of Alzheimer's. And, in fact, I ran a small research group called the Alzheimer's Research Organization. It wasn't well funded, but one individual who's dead now was a wealthy art dealer whose father died of Alzheimer's. He took a liking to me, and he was funding my research in a small amount of money. He was a great guy, so I was able to write those books. 89, The Complete Book of Homeopathy. 92, The Herbal Bible. 93, Healing Children Naturally. I republished it, by the way, in 07. It's on my website. 94, Herbs That Heal, Prescription for Herbal Healing. 95, The Antioxidant Cookbook. There's a lot more. I can't believe this list. I mean, this is crazy. 91, The Death of the White Male. Now, think about that one. In 1991, before I was in radio, I published a small pamphlet, The Death of the White Male, The Case Against Affirmative Action. Interesting. 95, The Compassionate Conservative Speaks. That's after I was in radio already. 03, The Enemy Within. 05, Liberalism is a Mental Disorder, The Political Zoo, Psychological Nudity, Banned in Britain, Trickle-Up Poverty, Abuse of Power, Trickle-Down Tyranny, Train Tracks, A Time for War, Stop the Coming Civil War, Countdown to Mecca, Government Zero, Diseases Without Borders, Teddy and Me, and The Scorched Earth. So you say, how in the world, how prolific you are? Well, okay. Does it mean that I should be ashamed of the fact that I am prolific? I never saw a society like this, the one I live in, and I have to be very, very generic about this. You know, you got to hand it to the liberals. They support each other. They rarely ever say anything negative about each other. They give each other awards. They give each other Grammys. They give each other the Academy Awards. They support each other with banquets. I'm sad to tell you that the conservatives rip each other to pieces. They don't support each other. Take a look at what goes on. You all think that we're all friends. I'm sorry to tell you we're not all friends. Everyone wants the other one to fall on his face and collapse. I am sure that this announcement this morning of this long-term contract renewal made a lot of people very miserable. I'm sorry to tell you that. And some of them pose as stalwarts of America, stalwarts of the right way in America. The right way, everyone else is the wrong way. Only they know the right way. And you have to judge for yourself how much of this is hyperbole, how much is real. I get the same accusations, but, you know, I have to live with my reality. I know that I'm going to give myself a litmus test now. I really don't have to give myself a litmus test now. My work speaks for me. Let's put it to you that way. Let's leave it at that. You decide. I'm not going to hear sell myself on. I love the guys who say they're more conservative than the other guy. The other one's not real. He's a fake one. This is not a real one. He's a real one. I'm not a real one. I'm the real one. He's a fake. Come on. Do you ever hear liberals say that about each other? Have you ever heard a liberal say, I'm a real liberal, the others are pseudo-liberals? I've never heard that. Why do they all support each other? And because of that, Hillary is gaining momentum. And because of the backbiting of the backstabbing conservatives in the media, Trump is collapsing, by the way. After ripping him to shreds for 6 months, suddenly they're all supporting him. The never Trump people are the reason Trump is falling apart. Do you understand that? And it's the same elements here in the radio business or in the television world. You think everyone at Fox News loves